Welcome to the Roundtable Network News. I'm your boy, the franchise player, Double B Babble, and I'm joined by the Drew Nicholas. And Drew, it is now Saturday, March 2nd. We are one day away from Revolution and Sting's final match. Oh my God, this whole week in wrestling has been crazy. Started out with Tony Khan, with Sting at Dynamite. You got a story about it? Let's go ahead and jump into that.
Yes. So, all night on this past week's Dynamite, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, the EVPs, were looking for Sting and trying to find him. And there's one point they go into his locker room, and there's bats hanging from the ceiling
All
as
black
an
bats.
homage to
Crazy.
the final Nitro promo that he'd cut. That was really cool. But all night they're looking for Sting. They can't find Sting. The end of the show, they go out. They get Darby Allin. They're attacking Darby Allin. And then Sting descends from the rafters for the final time since, gosh, probably early 2000s. We had not seen somebody descend from the rafters. And of course, a lot of people were
with good
saying,
reason. With good
the
reason.
reason why, of course, is the unfortunate incident with Owen Hart that happened in '99. And it turns out Tony Khan conferred with Martha Hart on Sting's entrance this past Wednesday. Fightful reported that the drop from the ceiling was the first Sting had done a rafter drop since his 2007 entrance at TNA Slammiversary. So that was the last time that he did it.
Sinner was right when he mentioned that on the Dynamite show.
As outside of that, he had not done one since 2000 in WCW and used the entrance sparingly since the unfortunate passing of Owen Hart in May 1999. Sting utilized the entrance led to some reference the dangers associated with the entrance and perceived insensitivities. However, Fightful reported AEW and Tony Khan called Martha Hart in preparing for the spot to confirm with her, and Martha ended up giving her blessing, which is why the entrance happened. So, Martha Hart was contacted and gave her okay for Sting to descend from the rafters for the final time in truly an epic final Dynamite entrance for Sting on AEW Dynamite. And that's a moment I would have loved to be in the crowd for.
You know, like I said on our AEW Dynamite recap show, I grew up watching the NWA. That's why we did the show on Friday when we did the Sting versus Ric Flair 45-minute draw at Greensboro Coliseum for the very first Clash of Champions. The way that AEW did this was amazing. I only hope and pray that we get a replay of that historic match between Sting and Flair at Greensboro Coliseum for Clash of Champions. I hope this setup is like that for Revolution, because that right there, going old school for that, TNA proved that going old school really works. Nostalgia really works. If AEW can do this on this show tomorrow night, which we will be watching live on the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast, if they could do that tomorrow night for Sting's final match, Jesus Christ, sellout crowd, the roof's going to blow up. This will probably be the biggest show in AEW history, other than Wembley, of course, if they can pull it off. And when we saw Sting come from the rafters, I was like, oh my God, they are really doing this. And it brought me back to my childhood. Sting's been in this business for 40 years. Crazy. 9 years longer than I have. Yeah, 9 years longer than I have. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. Like, the kid in me, the wrestling fan, the supermarket in me came out.
Was like, yeah. So I was not WCW when I was a kid. I was WWF, but much later on into the I would say maybe like 2014, 15, when I started to experience other wrestling outside of WWE when I came back in 2012. I saw the Sting debut in WCW. The whole video of him up in the rafters and the crow
Oh, the crow gimmick. Yeah.
diving, into the ring, and then the NWO and Eric Bischoff just like amazed, staring at the crow. It was one of the most epic things I ever witnessed. So I would have loved to have, lived all of that live and been watching Sting's career for the entirety from WCW to TNA. I only saw him in WWE when he came to WWE for the first time. But I really am so thankful to have been able to watch him wrestle at some of the Dynamites and Collisions that I've gone to, and pay-per-view, because he wrestled at World's End. I'm so thankful to have been able to thankful and honored to have been able to see 64-year-old Sting still wrestle, doing these high spots off of ladders, off of balconies. It's just incredible, honestly. So tomorrow is going to be a very emotional night for a lot of people.
It's going to be real hard. As a wrestler, as someone who's nearing that retirement, is me being on my retirement tour, like I'm thinking about the last match of my wrestling career, and I'm, it gets you caught, like you get emotional about it, because like for me, I've been doing this literally 90% of my life. So that's like a big chapter that's closing. Sting, 40 years wrestling. Can you imagine doing something for 40 years? I mean, you're not even 40 years old. You haven't even,
Yeah.
Sting's had more years in the business than you've had life. Like, can you imagine like 40 years of actually doing something on a consistent basis? And then it being taken away from you at one point, and then you'd be given a second chance. So when that buckle bomb from Seth Rollins at WrestleMania injured Sting, that buckle bomb almost ended Sting's career at that time. Like, we never thought we'd see Sting in the ring again. Then when he came back, we were like, oh, Sting is back. What the hell? And then he starts doing the crazy high spots. You're like, oh my God, please stop doing that. Why are you doing this? Sting could have did like
it
every
almost
other...
legitimately hurt himself on one of those spots.
Yeah. Like Sting could have came back and he could have did like every other veteran that has come back from injury like that. Every other guy that's on a Legends deal and taking one bump and that's it, or taking no bumps and just getting over and that's it. But Sting has gone out there and constantly, week after week, put his body on the line. Darby Allin went to the Wrestlers Tribune, did a story,
beautiful
about Sting. Oh my God, it brought tears. That's why I had to share it with you guys. Like, that is so much respect, and it shows that Sting is still giddy like a little kid. Like when it comes to wrestling the match, like, hey, I know I'm the fucking 40-year vet. I'm the guy who's been in this business longer than you've been alive. But what do you want to do? How can I make it good for you? That's crazy. That's why this match with the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Bucks, versus Sting and Darby Allin. I've been friends with the Bucks for years, decades even. And I know that one of their dream matches were to wrestle Sting. So now they're going to live their dream by wrestling Sting. And in Greensboro Coliseum, where for me, Sting, the name Sting became a household name after this match in professional wrestling. I mean, Sting started with UWF out there. Sting and Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner, they were Hot Stuff International. People don't remember that. I've seen some videos of that. It's really great. Then from there to NWA, from NWA to WCW, from WCW to TNA. Sting was the only guy who didn't flip-flop between WWE and NWA back in the day. Ric Flair did, Arn Anderson, Ron Henderson, Ronnie Garvin, all these people. Sting was the only person that never went. And the only regret I have in Sting retiring tomorrow was that I never got to see Crow Sting versus The Undertaker. Because even Sting says that's a match that everyone
really wanted.
Mm-hmm. That would have been great. I mean, we had Hogan, we had Warrior, we had Bret Hart, we had Mr. Perfect. We could have had Sting and Undertaker. Great. Rock, Hogan, Rock, Hogan, two different eras. Sting, Undertaker would have been great. But let me go ahead and run down this Revolution card. This year's Revolution hails from Greensboro Coliseum, North Carolina, which is a very significant place for Sting. Revolution will see the 40-year career of Sting come to an end in the venue that made Sting at Clash of the Champions 1 in 1998, where he fought Ric Flair to a 45-minute draw for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So in this final match, Sting and Darby Allin, they captured the AEW World Tag Team Championships 2 weeks ago, I believe, from Ricky Starks and Big Bill, or was it 3 weeks ago? They're defending the tag team belts in the Texas Tornado Tag Team match. We'll get to that.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So here's the card, and I'm going to go from bottom to top because I feel like this is the way the card is structured. FTR versus the Blackpool Combat Club, John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. That's going to be a barn burner. That's going to be a good tag team match. That's one of the matches I'm waiting for. In a match that's still yet to be determined because of AEW Collision tonight, but we have the All-Star Scramble. And so far, we got Will Hobbs, we got Wardlow, and we got Lance Archer. And there's going to be two other people in this five-man All-Star Scramble. Will Ospreay making his official under AEW contract official pay-per-view debut. I mean, we know he was at Wembley, but he still was part of New Japan at the time. But now he is now officially All Elite. We're going to have him versus Konosuke Takeshita. That's going to be a good match right there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's going to be great. TNT Championship on the line. Daniel Garcia, Dancing Danny as they call him, to face your father figure and mine, Christian Cage, for the TNT Championship. It's going to be great. In the match, it's a rematch from the Continental Classic. We have the Continental Crown Championship. That means the AEW Continental Championship, the Ring of Honor World Championship, and the New Japan Strong Championship. Eddie Kingston defends the title against Bryan Danielson of the Blackpool Combat Club. I wasn't really interested in this whole thing months ago, but the way that they structured it, Eddie Kingston has become the underdog champion. Bryan Danielson on his retirement run as well. I would love to see Bryan Danielson as the Continental Crown champion, but I really want Eddie Kingston to retain the title because the guy's lost so much over the last year, and he's been building himself back up, winning the Ring of Honor title, putting both titles on the line, then becoming the Triple Crown champion. This is his dream. So I know this is a huge show, but I don't want to see him lose the title so soon.
I don't want to see him lose the title, but I also want Bryan Danielson to win.
Yeah, you're caught in the middle. I get it totally. That's because you're a wrestling fan. You love wrestling. Timeless Tony Storm. Who would have saw this 2 years ago? Timeless Tony Storm, the only 3-time AEW Women's World Champion, defending the World Championship against Deonna Purrazzo, former friend from New Japan JoJo, or from Stardom, for the AEW Women's Championship. We all know that Big Business is coming up soon, and there have been some talks about Big Business, especially with Mercedes Moné quoting Big Business when she talked about Julia saying she wanted to defend the championship against her. The quote was, "Are we talking big business? Are we talking? Wait, are we talking big business? Or are we just standing on business?" So, is that a match we're going to see at Big Business? Julia versus the incoming Mercedes Money? Who knows? But we got Timeless Tony Storm defending the championship against Deonna Purrazzo. Going to be a good match. The last couple of weeks, they've been trading off finishers, using each other's finishers in matches, kind of goading each other. The storyline was kind of slow starting, but I feel like it's at the apex now. It's ready.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy to defend the AEW International Championship against Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong, part of the, what do they call themselves? The
Undisputed Kingdom.
The Undisputed Kingdom, the Undisputed Era, and the Kingdom merging, having a baby, calling it the Undisputed Kingdom. I do like the logo on the shirts. I love it. I see Roderick Strong winning that championship because Orange Cassidy has been on a tear. People, we sat here on the podcast and we talked about Orange Cassidy being a clown, being a gimmick cartoon character. But once that bell hits, the guy's 100% wrestler. Love it. AEW World Championship triple threat match. Samoa Joe, the champion, taking on Hangman, Don't Call Me Magnum TA, Adam Page, and Swerve Strickland. Now, we all know Samoa Joe's the heel. We thought Adam Page was the face, and we thought Swerve Strickland was the heel. But I think Swerve and Adam Page have switched. They flip-flop gimmicks. I mean, Swerve is getting over. You know, Jesus Christ.
Swerve is over as hell. And it's obvious every week.
Every week. If they don't put the title on Swerve, they're leaving money on the table.
I don't know. So I think so Wednesday's segment, I think they set it up really well, where they had Swerve come out and be like more babyface towards Hangman, and then Hangman, it seemed like, was injured and was going to be out and wasn't going to be in the match, and then Samoa Joe comes out and Hangman takes advantage, clocks Swerve with that crutch, and now that ferocious anger is back in Swerve, and I have a feeling that Swerve and Hangman are going to be they're going to be the cause of their own demise in this match, which is why Samoa Joe is going to retain.
I mean, I can see where you're going with that. You know, you in a triple threat match, you incite the two people you're facing to really hate each other, get a disqualification. There it is.
Not even a disqualification. I feel like it showed that, and what I've really particularly loved, and I said this on Wednesday, what I particularly have loved about the feud between Swerve and Hangman is that they never care about actually winning their matches. They just want to kill each other.
And see, and I've been saying this for years. Me and Julian talk about this all the time. If you and I are in a feud, a blood feud, you came to my house, you stood over my baby's crib, you violated my personal space. We're not going to lock up in a wrestling match. We're going to fight. Like, I'm catching you on site, like out in the parking lot, NXT parking lot, it is, whatever. I'm catching you in the parking lot. I'm catching you on the airplane. I'm going to get you to TSA. I'm going to get you in the bathroom at the hotel. I'm going to find you and I'm going to hurt you, because that's what a feud like this is supposed to be. But with those guys, they do that. I love it. Swerve was on the show. I think it was Defy. Swerve was on the show. Hangman and Page just shows up, beats the hell out of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Like when you're chasing someone on the indie scene to further a storyline on the major show, that right there, that's heat. So you may be right. Samoa Joe may slide out as the world champion. Go figure. But in the main event, 40-year career ending tomorrow night, the AEW World Tag Team Champions Sting and Darby Allin defend against the Young Bucks, the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Tornado tag match. That means there's no rules, no tags, just four dudes beating the holy piss out of each other all over the building.
Yeah, it's going to be a special match.
It's going to be a special match. Ric Flair. I heard that Kevin Nash is going to be there. I heard that Lex Luger may be there. Barry Windham, people from Sting's past.
Well, I heard actually Kevin Nash said he wasn't going to be there.
Kevin Nash said he wasn't going to be there if they were going to pull the put the banner under his name, All Elite Kevin Nash.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Nash currently works for the WWE, so that would be like disrespectful to the WWE. I totally get it, but I mean, I'm pretty sure Kevin Nash might show up. Who knows? Anybody from NWO may show up. Who knows? But Revolution takes place. If you're in the UK, it's Monday, March 4th, with 0 hour of the pre-show starting at midnight. So AEW Revolution in the United States starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, with the pre-show taking place an hour before. So we will be here at 4 p.m. Sunday afternoon, 4 p.m. live on the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast, streaming the AEW Revolution watch-along reaction show. This is going to be a very big show. I look. This is one of AEW's, and we've said this so much in the podcast. AEW knocks it out of the park with pay-per-views, but building to the pay-per-views have been horrible. Some of the matches built on this show have been great, and that's what makes me excited about this show.
Yeah, this was a very anticipated show, so I'm excited for it for sure.
Let's switch up directions real quick before you go to your story. I want to something that just popped up. I want to talk about this. Fox censored the "Die Rocky Die" chants during the Bloodline segment of SmackDown. So we were watching SmackDown live, and we kept figuring out. We wondered why every time The Rock said something, it would blur out for so long, and it kept going out. It's because Fox they were censoring the "Die Rocky Die" chants and the
sign and the chant, I believe.
Yeah, like, man, like this whole thing with The Rock turning heel. I mean, I gotta say that promo he cut was a masterpiece. Not just the one he did on Twitter, but the one at the show was a masterpiece. And I've been telling you guys from day one, if you look at what The Rock is saying and how The Rock is acting, there's something afoot with this. There's a build to WrestleMania 41 starting right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want Rock to be the babyface in that feud. I would rather him be the heel. So if he's going to turn on Roman at WrestleMania and make Cody win, I'd feel like, I don't know if I really want that, because that would make him the babyface. And I would rather Roman be the babyface leading into their match next year, because, he's been this incredible heel character for 4 years now. And I feel like it's kind of time for them to transition him out of that and make him a babyface again, because I mean, every week he gets reactions. He gets positive. Everyone's throwing up the ones.
Except this week,
Bloodline shirts.
Except this week, they would not acknowledge him as their tribal chief.
Yeah, I think that's all very interesting.
I think that's all in
his reaction to The Rock also is very interesting.
Yes. So if you notice that there were issues with Fox feed during the opening segment of Friday Night SmackDown, it wasn't just you, ladies and gentlemen. It was everybody. Everyone who was watching on the East Coast had this. Here on the West Coast, I watched the East Coast feed. I watched you live. So yeah, Fox decided to censor a sign in the crowd. The sign said "Die Rocky Die." Now, if you guys remember back in 1997 when Rocky was like the white meat baby face, when he came in as Rocky Maivia, fans would bring that sign because they just hated the fact that he was such a good, wholesome guy. Like they were like, this guy's just too goddamn good. Like he's so wholesome. I just hate this guy already. Well, The Rock, that's when he morphed into The Rock. And that character, we talk about Hollywood Rock coming back as the Hollywood gimmick. Even now, Rock is still a face. Rock and Austin were those guys that neither face nor heel, they were the same, and the fans loved them no matter what. We call it a tweener, but I just think that if The Rock does cost Roman the championship, The Rock would still be the face, even after everything that's going on.
And I would rather him be the heel and Roman be the face.
Yeah, I would. Me too, honestly. But if you missed it, The Rock issued a challenge for a tag team match night one. If you watch the Roundtable Pro Wrestling podcast, I've been saying that for weeks. When this all started, I've been saying that for weeks. And night one, Roman and Rock versus Cody and Seth Rollins. Now that match was set up. Well, the challenge was set up tonight. Last night rather. And if The Rock was talking about week after week after week, all these buildings they're going to. Great promotion, because now you're going to make sure those buildings sell out each week. But basically, it went like this: The Rock and Roman against Cody and Seth Rollins. If the Rock and Roman wins, then the Bloodline. I mean, if Cody and Seth win, the Bloodline is barred from ringside. There are two scenarios here. We'll get to that in a second. They're barred from ringside when Cody faces the undisputed champion, Universal Champion for the title, night two. But if The Rock and Roman win, then that Universal title match night 2 becomes a Bloodline rules match. Well, basically, any and everything the Bloodline want to happen in that match can happen. Paul Heyman can be the guy ringing the bell. The Rock can be the guy in the ring counting 1, 2, 3. We can have Solo as a special enforcer referee outside. We can have Jimmy as the timekeeper. Whatever. Like it's crazy because that right there, if that happens and Cody overcomes all of that, not only would he win the championship, but he would become the poster child for undisputed for the underdog champion, which is why I think WWE has been trying to build him as this whole time, from undesirable to undeniable. You know, the whole Cody Rhodes thing.
Right.
But let's just say Cody and Seth win the match, and the Bloodline is barred from ringside. There have been speculation that one Tama Tonga, since leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, might debut at Mania as a member of the Bloodline. He may not be physically blood, but because he's a son of Haku, who is like a honorary Uce, so to speak, in the Bloodline. Can you imagine if that right there screwed Cody night 2 and Roman retains the championship?
I will lose my mind.
The IWC will go crazy. The Twitter will melt down. Wrestling as we know it will be, as The Rock said,
and they've
exciting again.
They already melted down last year when Cody lost. So if Cody loses, if Cody wins the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row
and loses
main event of WrestleMania 2 years in a row and loses 2 years in a row, that's going to be a problem.
But here's how you get around that. Cody and Seth win night 1. Cody pins Roman. So Cody did beat Roman at Mania, just not for the championship. And remember, if you go back and you listen to the promo that Cody cut, Cody said, "I'm going to beat you, but not at Mania. I'm going to win the championship, but not at Mania." Just saying. That foreshadowing?
Well, according to The Rock, in that 21-minute Twitter promo, he said that Cody agreed that that he would step aside and let The Rock and Roman have the biggest WrestleMania main event in history. So I don't know. I just feel like, you know, and we're supposed to just talk about the news here and other opinions, but sometimes the opinions they bleed in.
Yeah,
and
the opinions we express are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect anything other than what we talk about here on the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast and the Roundtable News Network.
Cody needs to win. Period.
I agree.
It's got.
So let's go ahead. Let's transition to another one of your stories.
Let's talk about Okada. So back to AEW. Okada is going to AEW. That's what Fightful Select has reported. Okada's New Japan Pro Wrestling deal expired at the end of January, making him a free agent. AEW long maintained interest in him joining the company, and by early February, Fightful Select had reported Okada was expected to go to All Elite Wrestling and would be debuting once he finished his freelance obligations with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Fightful also noted the first half of March was expected to be huge for AEW. As we just mentioned, Big Business is in 2 weeks, where Mercedes Moné is planned to debut March 13th at Dynamite. Will Ospreay just debuted officially as a full-time wrestler for AEW, and will be having his first official match on March 3rd in Revolution. In addition to that, they're told that the company had been hoping to tentatively plan for Okada to be in the fold by the Dynamite following Revolution on March 6th. So that's going to be really exciting to see. Okada Osprey, Mercedes, Kenny Omega when Kenny comes back. So many huge New Japan stars.
It's about to be a fun time.
And yeah, amongst others who have been in New Japan. It's really gonna be an exciting time this year. And we mentioned on our news show on Thursday, AEW Dynasty is a new thing that AEW is coming with, most likely an April pay-per-view. So that could be first match debuts for both Okada and Mercedes. And this is shaping up to be the biggest pay-per-view year in AEW's history.
Yeah,
We have
AEW is laying
Revolution.
it out. They're laying out so many matches, so
I
many
know.
pay-per-views.
There were no pay-per-views in January or February. However, this month, March, we have Revolution. Next month would be the rumored AEW Dynasty. May, Double or Nothing. June, Forbidden Door. Nothing announced for July at the moment, but all out, of course, all in August at Wembley. All Out in September. Full Gear in November. Wrestle Dream October. You have Wrestle Dream in October. You have Full Gear in November, and you've got World's End in December.
So many things going on.
Yeah, that's a huge year, and I'm gonna, this is all speculation. There's nothing officially reported as of this moment, but of course we know that this year is going to be a big TV rights deal for AEW. That's going to be coming, and it makes me wonder, with all these new pay-per-views being formed, with Dynasty, with Forbidden Door in June, maybe something in July. We have All In and All Out, and Wrestle Dream, and World's End. Maybe that means a streaming deal is coming.
I was thinking about that streaming deal. AEW listed their television schedule and their pay-per-view schedule. Let's see. Today is March, right? So March 1st, tonight Rampage. Last night Rampage was at the Great Southern Bank Arena in Springfield. Collision here in is going to be in Huntsville tonight at the Von Buren Center. Revolution tomorrow night, Greensboro Coliseum. And then they were going to go on a Canadian tour, March 16th, 20th, 22nd, and 27th, all in Canada, Ottawa, Toronto, Quebec City. Then they have March 30th, 2024, AEW Collision in London. And then August 25th, 2024, Wembley Stadium. But they don't have a lot of the rest of the year booked out. So with all these pay-per-views that we just talked about and all the stuff they're talking about doing, Jesus Christ, man, AEW is setting the tone. They're setting the tone for like you said, for the media rights. They're trying to make sure that if they get these media rights, that it's going to be more bang for your buck. And for me, I really hope they go to HBO Max.
Me too.
If we get them on Max, that would be great. Yeah, I pay for that already. If we get them on Max, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really awesome. Bleacher Report was a great first few years when there were just 4 pay-per-views. But now with the addition of, just last year alone, thinking in 2021, and I believe also in 2022, there were just 4 pay-per-views: Revolution, Double or Nothing, All Out, and Full Gear. From 2023 on, they already added 4 pay-per-views. They added Forbidden Door. The first Forbidden Door, I believe, was in 2023, or was that 2022? Actually, that was 2022. Okay, so they added Forbidden Door in 2022 to make it 5 pay-per-views. Then in 2023, they added All In, and they added Wrestle Dream, and um they added World's End in December. So they added 3 more pay-per-views in 2023. Now they're going to be adding Dynasty to make it 5 more pay-per-views. So, you know, WWE pretty much have monthly pay-per-views. We
Oh
weren't
yeah.
used to that from AEW. Now, to have the pay-per-view model of Bleacher Report with now 9 to maybe 10 pay-per-views and having to pay $50 for each one of those. I don't know if with WWE's model of the network and then Peacock with $9.99, even for huge pay-per-views like WrestleMania, I don't know if Bleacher Report is going to be sustainable for AEW anymore.
I don't think so, because now with the cost, so to speak, of these pay-per-views and the streaming services, like even cable is getting, even cable's having issues trying to stay afloat with all these streaming services. As long as you got internet and a smart TV, you can have any kind of streaming service you want. I mean honestly, I pay $9.99 for one streaming service, and I watch movies that are in the theater like 2 or 3 weeks after they're in the theater on HBO. So why would I pay $60 for an AEW pay per view when, if it's on, and that would draw more eyes, honestly, draw more eyes to the pay per views, because people are going to be like, oh, I'm not spending $69.99 on an AEW pay per view. I'm paying $10. Hell yeah, I'll watch all of them. So yeah, it's that's.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. So I am excited for Okada to be coming in. Like that was the original story. I'm excited for Okada to come in, and I'm really excited for this pay-per-view thing. I mean, if they really uh if Warner Brothers Discovery is really into AEW like they seem to be, I think we will have a really fun media rights deal coming their way with for more money. I know we're having an issue, but I'm gonna keep talking.
I'm here.
Yeah, we'll have more money potentially for TV to get better quality TV product, and then throw them on HBO Max for their pay-per-views. That's going to be really exciting, and yeah, like you said, bringing more eyes to AEW pay-per-views, similarly to how WWE pay-per-views being on Peacock brings more eyes to the pay-per-views on Peacock. I think it's going to be very successful for AEW this year.
And Tony Khan did say that he's expecting a very exciting year for AEW when it comes to TV rights, pay per views, even general matches. So, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Let's go ahead and move to another topic here. There's been a reason why Ring of Honor World Television Champion Kyle Fletcher hasn't been on Ring of Honor TV lately. Kyle Fletcher is currently absent from Ring of Honor due to visa issues. He's having an issue with his visa getting back into the United States, so that's why you haven't seen Ring of Honor World Television Champion on any AEW or Ring of Honor. And that came from Fightful Select, by the way. Yeah. So, what do we have with the TNA signings, Drew?
Yeah. So this week, TNA announced that they have officially signed to their roster Alex Hammerstone. Alex Hammerstone was previously in MLW.
Former MLW World Champion, as a matter of fact.
Yes. And that's really exciting for TNA. As you know, of course, TNA this year has already done great work for themselves while they also did something crazy in letting go of Scott D'Amore.
The glue that
But
held that place together.
yeah, um, but Alex Hammerstone has officially joined TNA, and we'll see what happens with TNA as they go into the year. Um, we know, of course, we reported 2 weeks ago that there was a letter that was sent to Anthem management about Scott D'Amore being let go. We haven't heard any updates on that yet. If the two sides actually met and had a conversation, so we'll be checking on that. But yeah, Alex Hammerstone, formerly of MLW's champion, now part of TNA, and that also leads to another story featuring a former MLW um, roster member, Myron Reed. So, Myron Reed, in January of 2023, he became a free agent. And prior to that, he'd been contracted to Major League Wrestling, MLW, for 4.5 years. Myron Reed had an interview by a wonderful up and coming interviewer, Muscle Man Malcolm. And Post Wrestling did a report on it. So these quotes are coming from Post Wrestling. Myron Reed explained why he was no longer with MLW, adding that it had to do with schedule and compensation. Myron said, "When I was there, I was just noticing the schedule was very light, and I was getting the same amount of money I was getting on the indies. So I'd rather just be my own boss until I figured it out. Grow on my own, do my own thing, move in my own footstep." He said there's still friendship intact between him and MLW CEO Court Bauer. Reed said they're not best friends, but they're good with one another, and he's open to returning to the organization as a freelancer. So Myron Reed continued and said, "I think so. The relationship between Court Bauer and myself is in good standing. Pretty good. I mean, it's not like he's my best friend, but if everything worked itself out, I'd go there and work for them again, but not signing for a full-time deal. He'd go and work for them." So, um, in late 2023, Reed made his Impact Wrestling debut before it was TNA again, and tagged with fellow member of the Rascals, Zachary Wentz, and Trey Miguel. And the antitrust lawsuit that MLW filed against WWE was settled recently, and the filing revealed that MLW received a $20 million payout.
It's a lot of money, man.
So, that's major for MLW. We'll see, of course, if that leads them to sign some new people. We'll see if that maybe leads them to get a streaming deal somewhere, because that's major money.
I mean, you got to think about it too. There are a lot of free agents that left there. Hammerstone left. Samoan Werewolves. Jacob Fatu is gone.
Yes.
Myron Reed is gone. Like, there's so many people that have left MLW, and I'm assuming, just me, my own. This is just my own assumption. It could be over money. Could it be over not being paid what you feel like you deserve? No, there's a $20 million price tag, a $20 million nest egg that could be invested into talent. Who can we see pop up in MLW under contract? I mean, could we see someone like Matt Cardona go to MLW? I mean, I know he's got the GCW thing, but can we see Jacob Fatu return there? Can we see Myron Reed return there?
Yeah, that's gonna be that's really cool for MLW.
Mm-hmm. That is really cool for MLW. Did you know that the February 29th issue of TNA Impact, according to Spoiler TV, and this is being reported by Fightful's Robert DeFelice, Impact drew 85,000 viewers. They're down 1,000 viewers from the show's February 15th show. But they did hit high in the 18 to 40 demographic, which is pretty good for TNA. I mean, 85,000 people watch them on Access TV. We gotta
Yeah,
remember
that's
Access
big.
TV.
I would say that's big for them.
And it's so funny because it's like the report says they were down from 86,000, so like 1,000 people. Okay, that's great and all, but that's still 1,000 people on Access TV. Like the name Access TV is very disillusioned in this scenario because the Access TV is not easy to access. So if 85,000 people access it to watch the inauguration, Mustafa Ali is the X Division champion. I mean, that's great. That's great. That's great news. I'm totally 100% behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it my turn? Do you want me to?
Yeah, let's go get into the more somber news now.
Yes. Unfortunately, we found out yesterday, Paul Butcher Vachon passed away. He was 86 years old. That's, of course, leading an incredible life there to have lived to 86 years old. Post Wrestling reported on this yesterday. The influential Vachon wore many hats throughout his career and was part of a successful tag team with his brother Maurice and one of the key people behind Grand Prix in Quebec during the 70s. Vachon was born October 7th, 1937 in Ville-et-Mard, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, hopefully. In addition to Maurice, his sister Diane entered the industry and wrestled as Vivian Vachon. His adopted daughter was, of course, the late Luna Vachon. Maurice gained national recognition by representing Canada in the 1948 Olympics in London, England, as an amateur wrestler. Paul followed his brother in the amateur ranks, wrestling at 191 pounds. Unfortunately, did not reach the Olympic level. While Maurice and Paul were linked throughout their careers, they did go separate ways for several years, as Paul toured the world as a performer. It included a multi-year stay in Australia throughout the 60s and other countries abroad. So the brothers became AWA Tag Champions on August 30th, 1969, defeating the Crusher and Dick the Bruiser, and held the belts for nearly 2 years. They lost those titles on May 15th, 1971, to focus their efforts on their promotional aspirations. So, of course, Paul had stints in the WWF, and they've been all over the place. The Vachons launched their concept called Celebrity Wrestling in the wake of Grand Prix. That was in the fall of 1974. They had really, really incredible careers, and Vachon is a member of Hall of Fame, the George Tragos Luthez Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, Nebraska Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, and was honored at the Cauliflower Alley Club in 2008. Vachon had multiple cancer battles, unfortunately, and had been living in a retirement home up until the time of his passing. That's from John Pollock at Post Wrestling. So yeah, he had an incredible career. He and his family, him alone, him with his family, and sad to see. So rest in peace to Paul Butcher Vachon, 86 years old, passed away yesterday. And do you have any stories of Paul Vachon or the Vachon family?
I just know Mad Dog Vachon. Just such a great wrestling family. Like they brought violence. They brought the violence. I met Luna once. Very nice lady. Very, very nice lady. Yeah, like I say, in wrestling history, they're gonna go down as one of the premier wrestling families in the whole history of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
But on today, before we close out this session.
Actually, I have one more story.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to talk about QT Marshall.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Because QT Marshall addressed being removed from AEW Collision. Talked to Fightful. I'm sorry, he talked to Bill Apter of Sportskeeda, where he shared his thoughts on Punk's time with AEW and revealed that the two of them had talked off TV. So this is a quote from QT Marshall. He said, "I always liked him backstage," talking about CM Punk. "I know there were reports that he kept me off of TV, and we actually talked about it. We agreed neither of us wanted me to be Will Hobbs' manager." So they had talked originally about both of them had agreed, as he said, they didn't want to be Will Hobbs' manager. Then he also had to work Saturdays and Wednesdays. So when Punk and QT spoke about the idea that he didn't want him to work with Will Hobbs, QT responded and said, "Yeah, let's sign me up for that because I'd rather only work on Wednesdays." So the reason why QT Marshall was not on Collision was because one, he only wanted to work on Wednesdays, and two, he did not want to be managing Will Hobbs. Now it turns out that was phenomenal because nobody wanted him to manage Will Hobbs.
Wait, so
I
you're
didn't want
telling
him
me
to
that?
manage Will Hobbs.
So you're telling me that the IWC was wrong when they said that they said that CM Punk had heat with QT Marshall and they didn't like each other?
Yeah.
I'm so confused. I thought the IWC was right about everything.
Yeah, it turns out they're not. They're not right about most things.
My sarcasm steeps deeply on the show today.
Yeah. So him and Punk are cool. They agreed, like 95% of other people agreed who watched the shows, that they did not want QT Marshall managing Will Hobbs.
Yeah.
And QT Marshall recently returned to AEW in a vice president role. However, it's currently not expected to step back in the ring for the promotion. So, yeah. So it turns out QT and Punk are good. And shout out to Fightful for the transcription. Yeah. So QT, and that was his role that he had with the company previously before he left.
Yeah.
So he returned to the same vice president role. I believe it's content creation, has something to do with content creation.
I think so.
And yeah, so a positive story about CM Punk and QT Marshall.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Well, speaking of positive stories, this day in wrestling history, ladies and gentlemen, I want to end every news segment this way. Today in wrestling history, March 2nd, the lovely Deborah McMichael was born.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Deborah McMichael. Also, PJ Black, formerly known as Justin Gabriel, was born.
Oh.
Also, ladies, also on March 2nd, Lance Cade was born. And today marks the one time in wrestling history that Stone Cold Steve Austin and Flying Brian Pillman defeated Shane Douglas and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to become the WCW World Tag Team Champions to begin their only ever reign as the Hollywood Blondes.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's some good history for this day.
There's a lot of good history. I mean, there's a lot of other things that happened today that we can talk about, but I like to go out on a good note. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here on the Roundtable Network News, episode 10. Who would have thought we made it 10 episodes? Wowzers.
Yeah, we'll make it to 20 soon.
20 is coming. 20 is coming. With that being said, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you guys hopefully later on today with AEW Collision. Have a great night.